Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this dose of virtual vitamin Z. My name is Brad, and I'm an education specialist for the Detroit Zoological Society. And as you can probably tell, based on who's behind me, you know who we're talking about today. We are going to be talking about sandhill cranes. That's right, sandhill cranes. Maybe you've seen them here in Michigan, or if you visited the Detroit Zoo, you might have seen them on grounds. But we're going to talk all about these amazing birds and some of the ways the Detroit Zoological Society helps birds both here locally and globally. So first, we're going to start with some vocabulary words. So the first word I want to talk about is migration. And migration is a word that kind of describes this seasonal movement. So a lot of birds will migrate, and they'll migrate seasonally. They'll only do it a couple times of the year. And usually it's north to south, and usually they do it for food, for habitat, or for weather. So different birds migrate for different reasons, but they move every year. The next word is fledgling. And when we think of fledglings, this is a way to describe a small bird. A chick is a baby bird. A fledgling is a little bit older. It's a bird that's starting to grow its flight feathers, but maybe it can't fly yet. I like to kind of think of them as like a teenager bird. They're almost adults. They're getting ready to leave the house, but maybe they got a couple more days. So that's what a fledgling is. And then that last word is really big, rehabilitation. So that word describes kind of when you rehabilitate something, it's helping it get back to where it was, helping it get healthy again. So if I'm sick and I go to the hospital, they might help rehabilitate me, right? They'll help make me healthy again. So those are the words we're going to use today. So let's talk about migration first. So this is a map of America. We have the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So we've got North America here. And the green, this is the sandhill cranes' summer homes. And you might see Michigan right here. So sandhill cranes come and live here in the summer. And then all the orange on the map, that's orange in the southern part, that is where they go in the winter. And then those yellow spots, those are actually groups of sandhill cranes that don't move at all. They stay there year round. So in the winter, they head down south where it's like a little bit nicer. There's more food available. And then in the summer, they come to Michigan or Canada. And right now it's June in Michigan. So you might see some of these sandhill cranes in your own backyard. You might see them in your local parks. You might even see them, here at the Detroit Zoo if you don't see it in your backyard. So I actually have some footage of some local sandhill cranes. So you'll see the sandhill cranes coming up the hill. And this is from this year. You can see the date down below here. This is this month. And there's 3 of them coming up. There's 2 adults and 1 baby. And they're coming up from this marsh behind us. So the parents will build their nest. They do it together. And they'll build it in this marsh with all the kind of plant material that's there. And then they'll take turns sitting on the egg, keeping it warm. And while the other one eats, oh, see the baby just found something interesting over there. So they'll take turns sitting on it, and then out comes a chick, like this chick right here. You can see it looks pretty similar to its parents. It doesn't quite have its adult feathers yet. There's one of the parents walking by right now. Has a little bit longer flight feathers. So this sandhill crane hasn't quite started flying yet, but will soon, right? Now they're gonna head back there. And you saw the mom and the dad, they both look pretty similar. So sandhill cranes, the females and the males look the same. The babies will look a little different, but then they'll start to get that red on the top of their heads and they'll get their adult feathers. So those are some that you might see in your own backyard. Kensington Metro Park has some sandhill cranes that come and visit every year. Like I said, they come to their summer homes where they build their nests, raise their young, and then they migrate. But now let's visit a couple of the sandhill cranes here at the zoo. So there are 2 sandhill cranes that live at the Detroit Zoo, and they are both males, they're both boys. One of them came from International Crane Foundation. So that's an organization in Baraboo, Wisconsin that helps rehabilitate and re-release cranes. And they were kind of watching this one, and they were a little worried that its wing was injured, and they were worried that the baby and the parents wouldn't migrate south because they couldn't fly. So they, checked it out, did a little exam, see if it was healthy. They determined it could not fly, would not be safe for it. So they picked it up, and then it found sanctuary here at the Detroit Zoo. Our other boy, he came from Michigan, South Line. He was really badly injured, went to the Howell Nature Center, and they actually had to amputate part of his wing, so he can't fly either. And we can tell them apart. You're about to see them. They're going to get kind of excited. They're going to see some geese and kind of scare them away from their home. You can see when they lift their wings up, one of them just has a little bit of the tip missing, and that's how you can kind of tell them apart. But both of them could not be re-released, right? Migration is really important to these birds. Sandhill cranes need to fly. So if they cannot fly, they can't survive in Michigan. They wouldn't be able to survive our cold winters here. Oh, I love the Sandhill's big old stretch, feeling that sun on his wings. So it's great though that they were able to find sanctuary here, right? So they weren't able to fly. They can't necessarily survive in the wild, but we can care for them here. And this is a really great opportunity for everybody in Michigan to see one of these local favorites. I love seeing sandhill cranes in the summer. It's a good sign. It's how I know summer is here, when the sandhill cranes show up. But if you don't get the opportunity to see them, you can always come to the zoo and see the two boys here that we were able to rescue. So that's how the Detroit Zoo is helping some sandhill cranes locally, but we also help other bird species. So we have one of our vet staff is dressed up as a crane, right? This is kind of a funny sight. So that International Crane Foundation I talked about earlier, they are raising whooping cranes. So they look a little different. They're not the same as sandhill cranes, but they raise whooping cranes that are critically endangered, and then they track them to make sure they're doing okay. So some young whooping cranes kind of got blown off course on their migration. They were coming back from Florida to Wisconsin, and they got blown off course and landed in Michigan. So the Crane Foundation called the Detroit Zoo and asked, hey, we need a vet to come check out these cranes, make sure they're safe so we can transport them back to Wisconsin, back to their summer home. So our vet staff went over there, showed up, and they're like, cool, we're so happy you're here. Put on this crane suit so you can go and check on them, make sure they're healthy, which is really cool. So the whooping cranes are critically endangered, and the International Crane Foundation will hand raise these chicks to re-release them. But they will wear these crane costumes because they don't want birds to be raised by people. They don't want to associate people as family, right? They get attached to us and then we can't release them, right? So we don't want to raise these birds. So they will wear these crane costumes to actually raise these chicks. So our vet staff was able to wear her crane costume, walk up to them, and they thought, okay, this is just another crane friend. She was able to look them over visually, make sure that they're healthy and good to go. And then they were able to be shipped back to Wisconsin, back to Wisconsin, where they could live in their summer home. So that's another way the Detroit Zoo is helping out. So now I know what you're probably thinking, okay, that's really, really cool, but how can I help out? Right, so it's June right now, and in early May, early June, early summer, we see a lot of birds, baby birds. A lot of them are fledglings. It's that word I talked about earlier, fledglings. So they look like maybe they're hurt, and a lot of times we see them in this time of the year, and people are like, oh my gosh, this bird is all by itself. I think it's hurt. What do I do? So most of the times they are fledglings. You can look, if they are covered in feathers, they look like they're pretty much full grown, but they're kind of hopping around. Chances are they're going to fly soon, and their parents are nearby. So if we look at our sandhill crane right here, you can see he's all by himself. So if I saw that, I might think, uh-oh, this bird is abandoned. He might need help. But if I just wait a little bit and kind of watch and observe to see if he's okay, then I'll see the parents are right around here. The parents are nearby. The parents are still helping and raising them. They're going to fly very, very soon. So that's one of the things that you guys can help with. If you see baby birds out there, take a second, look at them. And then if you think they are injured, you can call a wildlife rehabilitator. Call a professional like that, the Crane Foundation that helped us. So now we're going to go to our activity. We're going to create our own puppets. Remember our vet staff? They had that really fun crane puppet. We're going to make a puppet ourselves. So some things you're going to need. You're going to need like a paper bag or an upcycled sock, something to make the body of your puppet. Some googly eyes, maybe some yarn, fabric scraps, buttons, really anything, things you can find around your house. Get creative. We're going to try to use as many recycled items as we can. And then either some glue or some needle and thread and an adult to help. And the skills and concepts we're going to be working on today. Creativity, we're going to get creative making our puppet. We're going to repurpose a lot of materials. So we're going to be working on that sustainable practices. Fine motor skills when we're building our puppet and also using our puppet. And then storytelling. Storytelling is a really, really fun activity. It's a way to kind of think about information and how to communicate that to people. So I made my puppet. I'll just kind of show you mine right here. So I gathered up all my materials. I got some yarn, my hot glue gun, I attached some eyes onto my puppet. I gave my puppet some hair that looks nice. Gave my puppet some decorations. And then after you make your puppet, think about what kind of stories can you create? What kind of stories can you create with your puppet? Maybe you can create some of like the rescue stories that you heard today with the Sandhill cranes. You can create a story all on your own, use your imagination. But with my puppet, I actually made a story, and I want to share that story with you guys today.
Oh no! A baby bird all alone! I must rescue it!
Puppet McPuppet Face, what are you doing?
I'm learning how to be a bird parent! I found a baby bird and I'm gonna rescue it!
Are you sure it's abandoned? It might just be a fledgling, and the parents could be nearby watching.
Oh, I didn't think of that! It wasn't flying, so I thought it was hurt!
Let's look up some local rehabilitators at Animal Help now.
Well, that's a good idea, Brad!
Okay, Puppet McPuppet Face, I've got a good idea. Let's go back outside and look for the baby bird. Let's take a closer look, see if they are actually injured. And if we are sure they're injured, let's contact one of the people off of that list of certified wildlife rehabilitators. We only want to contact professionals when we're handling wildlife, right? Otherwise, we should leave wildlife where we find them.
Let's go see if the baby bird is there, and if it's hurt, then we'll call one of the people from this list. Look, the baby bird is gone. They must have just been a fledgling. Remember, everyone, if you think a bird is injured, take a moment to look carefully. It's best to let their parents care for them if they can. If you really think it's injured, then contact a local certified wildlife rehabilitator. You can visit Animal Help now to find a local rehabilitator. You can also find other resources on their website to help you decide if an animal is actually in need of help. Yay!
Awesome. Thank you, Puppet McPuppet Face, for that great story about helping local wildlife. So I'm excited to see what kind of puppets you all can create and what kind of stories you can come up with. And like I said, keep your eyes open during summer for some Sandhill cranes. And if you don't see any in your local neighborhood, you can always come to the Detroit Zoo and see the two boys here that found sanctuary after they couldn't be re-released in the wild. For more information, please visit our website at thedetroitzoo.org, and we will see you guys next time.